One time for the city. Yeah.
All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation and NBA Nation on this 4th of July Eve. CP The Fanchise here for a special edition of KnicksFanTV and the NBA Report simulcast. You know, usually my guests and I, you do these shows at the beginning of the season, a tradition unlike any other. But for the New York Knicks, a lot has changed, okay? They are the kings of the NBA. They are the champions. And now we got to figure out the road to repeat. Lots going on around the NBA offseason. Where's LeBron James going? What the hell are the Boston Celtics doing? And, of course, we got to talk New York Knicks with our guy, MSG Network Zone, ESPN Zone, Alan Hahn. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to call us up on the KFTV Discord or the NBA Report Discord as well. Let's get into it. Lots to talk about. Han Solo, how you feeling, man?
I'm good. It's good to see you. Usually we do this in October, right before the season starts, and we start talking about how can they get to the promised land. And you know, when you said, "Hey, do you have time?" I'm like, "Of course I have time," because we've been talking about this for so many years that now that they've gotten to the mountaintop, it is definitely something to celebrate, to talk about, to let it in one of the comments, I try to stay out of them, but every now and then you just take a look. And I had said something, I can't remember what it was regarding the Knicks and the championship, some kind of parallel I made. And somebody said, it was 2 weeks ago, get over it.
What?
I was like, hell no.
What?
Hell no. You got all summer. All summer. This thing, no, you don't wait all this time and then say, all right, it's been a week.
Yeah.
I guess we can stop. No, this is all summer, man. So everybody loved the whole New York vibe. And I said this right after the parade. I said, this is really sweet, but so many of you around the country are going to get so tired of us.
Yo, yeah, it's going to get obnoxious.
You're going to get so tired of us.
It's going to get obnoxious. I'm taking the show on the road to Summer League in Vegas. They're going to hear us out there, all season. I mean, come on, man. I waited 30-some-odd years for this. There's no way I can get quiet now.
No, you cannot.
No way.
And I don't. And I would hope you wouldn't. No, not you. Got a banner ceremony to be out in October.
Insane.
Come on. There's still a lot more to celebrate. It's been, but this has been. I don't know how you feel. I'd love to hear how you feel about everything that you've built and what this has now led to. But for me, in the 30 years I've covered professional sports, and 20 of them covering the Knicks as a writer or a broadcaster, and it's like for me, this season is the greatest experience of my professional career. And, game 4 was probably the most memorable moment being on the court after the game of my professional career. And I can't imagine I'll be able to top that.
Yeah, it was insane. And I'm with you, man. I mean, the entire ride, the entire playoff run that we went on, as a channel, and we went on the road in Atlanta. We had a huge party with John Starks, and just coming along in this journey with John Starks right behind me.
Right.
That's what started my fandom, and so just a full circle type of situation. We went to Philly for Game 3, and then being in the building for Game 4 of the NBA Finals, and I never experienced that big of a swing from a low to a high in sports. Never in my wildest dreams. I mean, I went back down to the Delta Club, pissed off. They're down by like 20-some-odd points. I am heated. And I saw Baron Davis. I said, BD, what do we do here? And he's like, you know what? Hey, this is the hottest they ever shot. They're going to start missing. They're going to start missing, so let's see what happens. So I said, all right, a little sliver of optimism. And then I kid you not, that fourth quarter comeback, I don't remember anything that happened because
no,
I blacked out, man. I couldn't believe it.
I blacked out. But it happened so fast. That was for me. That experience, like for me, was because I got the opportunity, this is what's great about working at MSG is they'll say to you, hey, we want everyone to get an opportunity to be on a game call for the finals because everybody's put in so much time, and And Tyler Murray and Monica McNutt were so gracious to allow first, they had Walt Frazier do the road games because he was there with the team. And then Wally Zerbiak did game 3. And so for me, I got to do game 4. And I'm laughing with Monica because going, yeah, of course, the game I get, they're getting smoked in the second quarter. They look terrible. They can't defend. The Spurs are shooting the lights out, and it's a 27-point deficit at halftime. And I'm like, thinking to myself, yeah, this is now going to be 2-2, and we're really going to have ourselves a series. But at halftime, as I'm going back downstairs, I saw so many fans on my way from, the 8th floor where the radio booth is, back down to the court level where I usually am during a game. And I saw a lot of fans. And I didn't see any quitting the fans.
No one left.
Normally you get people that are just sort of disillusioned and they're just, it's a bad night and frustrated. And, usually, and I remember over the years making that trek up and down sometimes when I've done some halftime where Alan, what are we doing? What are we doing? What he should sub this guy. You get all that yelling. And I was getting this from people. We got to get it down to 20. That's all. Just get it down to 20.
Away.
If we can get it into the teens going into the 4th, we can do that. I couldn't believe the optimism. And 8th floor, we're up now. This is up. This is the salt of the earth. They're up there, right? This is not the brie and cheese people down at the bottom. And so hearing and feeling that, I was like, now, these people are locked in.
Yeah.
And if the Knicks can just, they make a couple of early buckets, you never know. So I get back down court level. And like you, I saw a couple of former players who all said the same thing. You just get this into the teens. I'm telling you, you got to flip it. It's a young team. And so the optimism overwhelmed me. And so I remember, I can't remember who hit the 3. Someone hit a 3 and made it from 25 to 22. It was almost like it tied the score. Yeah. Building erupted. Spurs called timeout. And I'm going, can this happen? Can lightning strike twice again? And by the 4th quarter, when they got it into it was such a blur of just bucket. And then, of course, Jalen does what Jalen does. And the moment of OG. So, again, I'll tell this story. And where I am right before when the game's ending is literally on the corner of the court where the visitors bench ends and the baseline's right there, right? So I'm waiting because when the game ends, got to get on the floor, got to get set up, right? No messing around. And just flashback, game 1, Eastern Conference Finals. I'm right there last year. And the Halliburton shot goes up and I'm watching it and I see it bounce and I see it go straight up and I'm going, now if it misses, I'm on doing an interview. If it goes in, it's overtime or it's game over and I got to do a stand-up about a loss. So I'm now in my head, what questions, who am I talking to? That thing goes through and I'm like, that was such a gut punch. So now fast forward back to that game 4 and there's the shot by Brunson. Now there's a lot of people, so I can't really see the whole court because there's a ton of people standing in front of me. Luckily, I'm 6'6". I can see over a lot of people, but you still don't see the floor. So the shot goes up and I see it hit the rim and I'm like, here we go again, right? A hand comes out of nowhere and I see OG's face and I'm going, and he tips it. And I turn around and when I tell you, it's like Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, they're jumping like them. And then everyone else, I'm turning around. There's staffers. There's you see the Spurs. They're like this, oh my God. I just turned, it was almost like, you see the camera pan around sometimes in a movie. That was my head. I'm looking at, I just was catching all different reactions. And I'm and I look at our producer, Spencer Julian, and I go, did that just happen? And he's like, yeah, it did. And we went crazy. And so that moment, was just incredible. But it was to me, and I asked the question of the players afterwards, especially Jose Alvarado, who gave me an unbelievable interview, is they said, the crowd never gave up. And that's not typical of New York now. So I'll never forget that second half, that game, and the way that whole thing went. But the thing that stays with me the most is that down 27 at halftime, there was no one in that building that was ready to give up on the game. And that's what made that special.
It was beautiful. And you're right. No one left. I was in 210. and not a single person left their seat. And yeah, you're right. You know, my wife's in my ear because I'm tight. She's like, just chip away. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Just chip away. They're gonna get it done. And so she's, you know, we're like yin and yang when we watch the game. She's always on the high. I'm always on the low. And but you're right. They just kept chipping away. And all I remember is after that OG shot, because I was recording in my phone, we're going crazy. And then when they win it, it almost looked like people were storming the court. So I got confused.
It was Rucker.
I was like, wait, did we win the championship? I was like, what is going on? I've never seen this before.
So I can't remember who it was and I'm not trying to be that guy, but there was just A-listers everywhere, man. Like, and you saw, like everywhere you turned, it was somebody where I'm like, oh my God. Like, and then there's a whole bunch of former NBA players, not just former Knicks, but like Kevin Love. Like, there's just like a lot of former players. And so they're all on the court, like you said. ESPN setting up all the different, setups they have because they had to do Inside the NBA. They had to do Scott Van Pelt. There was a Sports Center one. And then, of course, NBA TV had one. So now they're bringing out sets. So it was madness. And I can't remember who it was who said it. I don't think it was Spike Lee, because Spike Lee came over and he started giving a dissertation about Willis Reed in Game 7. And I'm telling you, but somebody said, you might as well bring out the Larry O'Brien now. Why not just come on, bring it out now, because that's what it felt like. That was how they won the championship. And we all thought, how can you top this game? And then Jalen Brunson said, hold my beer. I got a fourth quarter for the ages for you.
And that was it, man. That's where the emotions came from, because it was like once they did it, it was like, wow, they're really going to win the championship.
Is that when it hit you?
That's when it hit.
Is that when you really believe this is really going to happen?
Yep. And so my emotions started there. And then, you fast forward to Game 5, the Spurs defense in the first quarter, ferocious. I mean, the Knicks couldn't even get over the half-court line. So I'm like, oh, man. But then I'm seeing, by the second quarter, Brunson has 8 in the second. McCall has 8. They're chipping away. I'm like, all right, we're okay now. They're starting to break through. And that was the game where Jalen said, listen, I'll defer if I need to defer, but this is a game I got to put the cape on and get busy. And once he starts cooking Castle, he's cooking this guy. He puts Wemby in a blender, and once they took the lead in that fourth quarter, I start welling up because I'm like, they're not looking back. This is happening. It's happening right now.
Yeah. That's funny how no one complained about Jalen taking all the shots.
No, sir.
Then.
No, sir.
You didn't see anybody tweeting about how he's hogging the ball. It's like, man, hog it all you want, brother, because you have the glow right now. Yeah. You are Bruce Leroy. Just go,
Absolutely.
man. And the moment too, one of the iconic moments of this run of the finals anyway, was I call it it's Jalen's revenge. Because he got mushed, we know, in Game 3, and there was no call, all that stuff happened, right? And Wemby's laughing at him. And then as Brunson is flaming hot, right? He sees the ability to get a switch, and he's just like, come on, unanimous decision, defensive player of the year, let's go. Here, come get a slice, because it's your turn now. Here's how I get my get back. And then he's got him on skates. And then instead of a fadeaway or a floater or something that a smaller guard should do against a guy 7'5" with an 8-foot reach, you know what he does? Layup. I'm going to put a layup on you.
Put him in a blender.
When he hits that layup, it's just, we're chill. It's myself, Novak, Zerbiak, Pito in the studio watching this game, and we're children. We go back to being just we're dancing, high five. My God. That's what we ended up doing. We became children in that moment. But I'll tell you what, I went home saying to myself, they're going to win this thing. And I got emotional twice. The first time I was emotional when it kind of hit me, when I started to kind of have that feeling with going home. I was talking to my wife, and it was after Game 2 because we had McHale on. And I don't know if you saw the video of that interview that we had with McHale. He had this psychotic, obsessed, possessed look in his eye, and he was mad at himself. And then when he was done, again, Spencer Julian was holding the mic during the interview, and he Spencer was just thanking him for the interview, and he just whacked Spencer come on, man, and he walked away, and I'm like, I think there's no way they're losing this.
No.
Look at that guy. Look how he's psychotic right now. They won. They're up 2-0, and they're coming up. I was like, they are winning this thing. And that's the first moment I had where I started to kind of like get a little like, oh my God, like this is going to happen. And then the second time that I lost, because, what sucked and what was good is that game 5 ends, throw the ball, they're on the court. Producer's going 5, 4, 3, 2. We're going online now.
Live.
And so there's no time to start like, Novak and I hug, high five Bill. Couldn't get to Wally because we're at 3, so Wally's on the other side. And so I just sit down, and we got to get right to it. So the motions now stay locked in. And then so we do 2.5 hour show we did.
Yeah.
We're out there. It's almost 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Go out to Manhattan. It's still wild. It's still fun. We're trying to like do that. I got my kids. They went to the watch party at Radio City. They came and found me. We're all just delirious. We get home. It's like, we had some fun. Get home, probably like 5 a.m. ish. We celebrated, and I couldn't sleep. Couldn't do anything. I went in the pool. Sat in the pool. Sat there. Had the TV on with SportsCenter just in the background, and I'm just like sitting, and it's dead quiet, and I'm just watching. There's no sound on, and then it all came out, like by myself, alone by myself. That's when it was just like this happened. This happened. Like on my birthday, Game 6, '94. That was on my birthday.
Yeah.
When John almost won it, and Hakeem said no, and then we all know what happened in Game 7, and that I never have gotten over that. Never. Everything, the bounce always goes against us. I always used to say that, like the injuries always go against us. The rules go against us. Everything goes like I always used to feel that way as a kid. And then as I got into media covering the team, it was always just like, this is history of this team. This is just what happens. And so that's the part that got me is like, you know what? For the first time, the bounces didn't go against us. Everything went the way it was supposed to go. And there I was, knowing that there was going to be a parade and it was going to be the day before my birthday. And so what a way to make up for that all those years later.
That's where the emotions came from for me. It was, like you said, the doom and gloom as a diehard fan was so heavy on you. Start 7, the Ewing finger roll, Charles Smith. 99, is Ewing healthy? If LJ's healthy, does it make a difference? Not getting LeBron, the dark ages of the Starberry time. Should Melo have waited? Not getting, like, all of that. KD, Kyrie, that was a heavy, heavy burden on us as a fan base, man. And so it's like, after that, seeing the entire run and how they dominated, and then, it's all got erased. It was all evaporated. It's into the ether.
It's really amazing. And it's right, CP, how it was done. How it was done is also a part of the story. That it wasn't, because I always said this, going into the playoffs, I was saying this on my radio show. Hey, get ready, because we know with the Knicks, it's always excruciating. Like, it's going to be a grind and painful and frustrating, but, they got to fight through it, and you just got to see if they can get. And after 2-1, 13 damn straight, like every game, it just got to a point where I honestly, was reaching a point going into the Cavs series where somebody's like, you think they can win the series? I'm like, 4 or 5. Like, I just think they're on this heater.
Yeah.
And you just started to believe it. And to see them go 15-1 like that, and to win a lot of the earlier games just in blowout fashion, just making teams quit on their home floor, made Philly quit, made Cleveland quit, took the soul from a young Spurs team on their home court 3 times. Like that, Atlanta quit.
Yes,
Game 6, they quit. So that was such a alternate universe for the experience that you were just talking about.
Yeah, and it's why I had refused to just cast them off and write their tombstone before the playoffs started. Because I always felt I had nothing to lean on, just hope and fandom. But I just said, we have not seen the best of this team. We had not seen them hit that elite level, but I always felt like they were capable. They had the pieces. They had the defense. They have the wings and OG. And if you just keep it close, Jaylen is the best clutch player in the NBA. And that's why I said in the playoffs, we could see a different story. And that's what they did. We saw the elite version of this team for the first time in the 2 years. They couldn't beat anybody. They couldn't beat the elites. And they became that elite when they hit it at the biggest stage, when it mattered the most.
When it mattered the most. And it just also shows you that while we always, over the years, you try to manufacture chemistry, you try to throw players together and create something. You got Amari Stoudemire, let's add Carmelo. That'll work because they're just both great players. Everything is throw it together and hope it works. And sometimes, I got this is, Jalen's shirt, and the magic is in the work. That's a true thing, right? That's literally what it's about, because you had to go through Game 6 against Miami, where it just, one bad pass to force a Game 7. Game 7 against the Pacers, where just everybody was hurt, and it's just the pain. I told you about the Halliburton shot. Pain, but this group as a core just kind of kept building from it. It wasn't something that stopped them. And I think they almost got better by it. And I saw a team that during the season at times, the locker room was always a good room. But there was always stuff going on. Not everybody was thrilled with their roles and happy. There was so much happening, but they never came apart. It just sort of was like sticking to it and just fighting through it and figuring it out. And that's what makes this such a special story, is that it wasn't just, traded for KG and traded for Ray Allen, and all of a sudden you won a chip. It wasn't get LeBron and Dwayne Wade, get LeBron and Chris Bosh and you get a chip. It was a group that had to go through some pain and a fan base that went through it with them. And then when they figured it out, they came of age, right? They came of age. They're in their prime. They had that experience from the past, and leaning on that experience, we always talked about, when they lost Hartenstein and they lost DiVincenzo, man, they're not as tough as they used to be. I thought they showed you a mental toughness in this run that was, unlike anything we'd seen from a Knicks team in a very long time. And that's what made it really impressive to me.
And that became their identity. When we were looking all year, who are these guys? What are they about? You saw it on the biggest stage. Yeah. It was New York grit. Never say die attitude. And it was just beautiful, man. The documentary is going to be incredible whenever Stiller finishes it. All the books are going to be incredible. Every single player has a story that you can write about. But how about the Mike Brown story? The way that he lands with this team, the coaching search. How could they get rid of Tibbs? Why do they do this? This guy Mike Brown, he's a career assistant. That's the best he can do. They can't win with him. He's too much of a player's coach. You heard all of that. But what I found so ironic was that the way in which they won, his positives, it was exactly what the Knicks were looking for. The collaboration piece that some poo-pooed, whatever, Tibbs is still the guy. They wanted a guy who can work with everybody. And at different intervals of the playoffs, he worked with everybody to get the job done. He worked with Towns. Hart comes into the office, says, I want McCollum. I'm at the games I'm watching. First guy running the huddles, Chris Gent, the offensive coordinator. He's the signal caller. Mike always giving Rick credit. He's giving these guys credit. Everything that the Knicks were looking for, this coach gave him.
Right.
And he came in with,
and he came in with experience, of course, of winning at the highest level as an assistant and learning from that, himself being a head coach and going through what he always talked about was the mistakes he made and learning from them, not just the successes, but the mistakes. And I thought it was important that he showed a humility early on. That he said, I'm not going to have all the answers. I'm not going to have the last say. And when somebody has something that they want to suggest, that I'm going to listen to it. Because if you act like you're the smartest guy in the room as a head coach, you're not leaning on the assistants. And that kind of was what happened to Tibbs. Is the sense I got was it wasn't just the players who were frustrated. It was even some assistants who were like, my input doesn't matter. He's kind of like he's doing it his way and he's not listening to input from other people. But Mike also had to go through it too, because it wasn't as if when Mike took over, everything was great. You mentioned it, the Josh Hart stuff. He had to learn from that and figure it out. It took almost the whole year to figure out Karl-Anthony Towns. But if you notice, once Towns got to that point later in the season, he stopped talking about not fitting and now, you know what I mean? All that stuff went away. And all he and I love that Cat kept mentioning, I just want to do whatever it takes for us to win. He didn't talk about shots. You know, the thing that people don't realize about Towns is that we spent so much time on, he only had 3 shots in the first half. What's going on? Why is he only taking 3 shots? And I was one time after interviewing him, and then we just went back and forth because he said to me, he's like, why do you keep asking me about shots? I'm like, well, you only had 3 in the first, like I remember saying to him, you only had 3 in the first half. That doesn't make sense for you. And he's like, well, I'm just playing the role I'm being asked to play. And I'm like, right, but don't you think you should be a bigger piece of the offense? And he said, I'm not being asked to do that. Okay. But I said, well, you need to get more shots. We all feel that way. He goes, it's not about how many shots I get. He's like, it's having the ball and being part of the offense. When you feel part of the offense, that's the most important thing. Everybody feeling part of it. And that's when I said, see, guys are always about their FGAs. I remember a story years ago when I was in the Knicks locker room as a beat writer, and Al Harrington had just come to the team. We all love Al Harrington. But we knew Al buckets. He puts them up, buckets. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I remember Quentin Richardson came by, and he's like, they were joking around, and he's just like, he goes, 1 game in, I already know what you're about. You're all about those FGAs. And that was like a passive aggressive way of saying, like, you just got here. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like tone it down, man.
Yeah.
We all got to get something, and that can happen. But the fact that Cat was almost telling me, no, that's not what I'm about. And then I realized and then I asked him, like, later on when he had like a big assist game. And I remember, I actually think I was in the on-court interview I did with him, where I said, you seem to thrive, you seem to enjoy passing more than you do scoring. And that's when he lit up, and he's just like, yeah, I love setting up my teammates. He wanted to show that I can do that. Like, I can be a hub. And so that took Mike Brown time to figure out, to understand, all right, I can trust him with the ball at the top. He's just not going to be a guy that when you give him the ball, he's a black hole and he's just going to try to score, that he actually will look for teammates. He's got a good vision. He actually is a really good passer.
Yeah.
And so it took Mike Brown a while to get there. And so that's what I think is also part of the story, is that Mike Brown, I think, evolved as a coach even this season.
Yeah.
It wasn't as if he came in finished. He came in with his plan and then adjusted it, that's to me his strength, his humility to admit what I thought we should do is not what the guys want to do. So I need to tailor it. They need to adjust to me, but I need to adjust to them. And that is the value of what Mike Brown brought to this franchise this season. And when you see them now, the relationship from it that was built tells you that this is not a one and done.
Yeah.
Because now there's an understanding. Like, one more thing, I know I'm rambling. One more thing I remember is one of the assistant coaches I talked to about the offense with Cat as the hub. Because I said, like, wow, like, this is a new look for you guys. And he's like, you ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till we get a full training camp with this. Like, there is so many layers, but we don't have enough time to put it in. So next year, he's like, our offense is going to be completely bigger with many more options. He goes, but right now we're seeing the counters. So we already know when we do film in the offseason, all the counters that teams showed us in the playoffs, we're going to have answers for them all.
Yeah.
So this offense, scary to say, could even be better next year.
Yeah, I agree. With the chemistry and another year together.
Right. And the trust.
And the trust.
The trust.
And the trust. So absolutely brilliant job by Mike Brown. CP The Fanchise, Alan Hahn here on the ones and twos. Happy 4th of July Eve to everybody watching. I want to shout out one of my guys, Tom from Huntington, a $100 super chat. Says, salute CP, salute Mr. Hahn, the chat, and the sponsors. Number one show for the fans, by the fans. Sorry I haven't called in, but it's been a rough few months with my mom's health and surgeries. Watching the Game 5 win with her waving the KFTV rally towel will be the highlight of my life. Let's go. Shout out to Tom from Huntington, man. And speedy recovery to your mom. There it is, man. For the fans, by the fans, the rally towel.
Love that.
The towel that I bring to all Knick games, home and the road. Everybody, was talking about what superstitions do you have. I've got to bring my rally towel, and then, depending on the player, I might wear my Brunson jersey. I used to wear my Robinson jersey, Hahn. And now I don't know what to do with it. I had the original 26. I had the 23. I don't know what to do with it, man. He's gone.
I saw.
He's gone.
I saw the 26. I saw the 26 you had autographed by him, and Yeah, I just kind of felt like that one's one. I don't think you're shocked, right? Like
No, I'm not shocked. Not shocked at
you
all.
knew, yeah, you knew that
Disappointed,
was
not
coming.
shocked. Disappointed, not shocked. Yeah,
That's the best way to put it.
yeah, yeah.
It's very disappointing that he went. I'm happy that he got the bag. Do I love that he went to Boston? No, don't love that.
No.
But again, like for him, great situation for him to go into. They're looking at him as a Time Lord 2.0, right? Robert Williams and what he was able to do. I think he's the same kind of thing. I think they'll try to use him the same way, but they're still going to look a lot different without Jaylen Brown. There's no question there.
Yeah, no question. And that day of free agency, whenever it hit, it was like 2 days ago. And first day of free agency, like centers are coming off the board. They're coming off the board. And then the next day, I'm looking at guys. I see, Mo Wagner goes to the Nets. Okay, so I cross off the Nets. And then I saw Vucevic went back to the Magic. I'm crossing these guys off. And, Marks had a table, just a clear-cut table of the range of money that teams had to spend. So I'm looking at that mid-level, that $15 million, and I'm crossing Atlanta, Jock Landale, crossover.
Yep,
Lakers are going
yep.
big game hunting. They want Kessler. They want Durant. I'm like, is there a window here? Is there a window here? I was like, Boston? And then like 5 minutes later, it was Boston. I said, oh, my God. Unreal, man. Unreal.
That was one that surprised me a little, only because I wasn't sure they were going to get into the business with somebody that they know you have to handle him.
Yeah,
We all know,
manage.
like you got to manage the minutes, you got to handle the back-to-backs and be able to live without them. But the value. I know we all talk with the Celtics and Joe Mazzulla 3-point shooting, but I think he also is big on offensive rebounding. Like he is a proponent. I've talked to him about this, where offensive. That's one of the things. I did the Super Bowl Sunday game with Mark Kester for ESPN Radio nationally up in Boston, and talking to him before the game, he said that's one of the things he admires the most about the Knicks is that they're so competitive on the offensive glass, and it's not just reliant on like one big man. Is that they like the Celtics do? They send their wings in and come get him. And that's why Josh Hart is so good, because he has the green light to crash on the offensive boards when he's fit, rather than, a lot of times Tibbs was get back on defense and recover. He's got the green light to go get him. So that's why I think, Mitch does fit the way they want to play. It's just, was kind of hoping it would be, can he go to Sacramento?
Yeah. Go reunite with Scott Perry.
Like Mitch, go get the bag, but just get it out there.
Tough.
Get it. Yeah. So I wish him the best. He was always good to me. He was a great personality. The guy's been through a lot, as we know, as a Knick and also personally. I loved watching him grow as a person, because I remember his press conference when he showed up after he was drafted. It really showed you his background when he showed up in jeans and like just a regular shirt, like untucked, no tie, no nothing for his press conference. And so the Knicks had to find him a sport coat. Somebody's trying to find him a tie, and they put it on. So if you go back to that, that's not his clothes. Like they just, like he's a country guy. Like,
yeah.
So that like you see him there, and then you see him. Then he had his little show for a while there. That was always a lot of fun when he's interviewing teammates. But then to see him, how serious he took winning, where he matured into a guy that he cared a lot about winning, and that is the part that I've really started to appreciate him more, because he was one that would speak up every now and then if he didn't like what he was seeing.
Yeah.
If he was annoyed or frustrated by something. So they're going to miss him, but can LeBron play center?
Oh gosh. Well, I'm gonna get to that LeBron topic in a second, but I mean, what do you think in terms of backup plans, man? Like, the Looney stuff is out there. Is it Nick Richards? Do they make a trade? I mean, slim pickings right now. What do you think?
It's very, very much slim pickings, and they're trying to get Yves Missy, obviously, from New Orleans. It doesn't sound like New Orleans wants to do anything. They don't want to make a deal, or if they do, they probably want to get something that the Knicks are not willing to give. So, because he'd be a good fit. He's the type of player. I mean, Moussa Cisse is somebody I'm keeping my eye on from Dallas. He is a restricted free agent, of course. So, It's not like it'll be easy to do. Dallas does have their two centers. How much are they going to be watching their bottom line? I don't know, but that's a guy that I know he's raw, but he's 7 feet, long reach. He had a good game against the Knicks, I think, earlier in the season where you saw him on the boards. He blocked like a couple of shots, really effective. I think you got to look there. I know he's not like he's not a true backup two yet because he's so inexperienced, but I think you're just going to have to go to that market and hope you can coach someone up. See, the Hukporti thing is what really gets you.
Big.
Because, I think the Sixers were like, this is twofold for us. We need a better backup center that's a little more athletic because, the guys they had were not. And then we also, what's an extra $1 million for us to also hurt the Knicks?
Because they couldn't afford it.
Don't think for a minute that wasn't part of the plan. Hukporti's a nice player. At 3.6, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like but it's worth it because it's twofold. All right, we need a body that can play when Embiid can't, and Huck's good. He's fine. But he's limited, but he's fine. But it also hurts the Knicks, so it's worth it to you to put that extra $1 million on that you knew the Knicks weren't going to be able to deal with.
Yeah, everybody thought when they rescinded that qualifying offer, it's just a technicality to avoid that no trade. Well, Philadelphia said, all right, here's one extra mil that you can't afford, and now he's gone, and now you need two centers.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, is Trey Jemison somebody that they're going to bring back?
I like Trey.
Mike liked him. He sets big screens.
Yeah,
he's
a hustler.
Small-ish, but he's physical. But you need a third center. He's probably going to end up having to be the guy. He's been around. He's a vet. I mean, this is going to make you cringe. Andre Drummond, Mount Vernon guy. He's a great rebounder still. I know, but he defensively, I know it's a major issue. But now you're reaching that point where you got to start looking at – you got to put the Instagram filters on some of these guys now and start saying to yourself, not too bad.
Well, he just,
I don't know where else to go.
He just came out on a pod saying that, he's not looking to give anybody any deals. He wants to get paid what he's worth. So he's hyping himself up. I don't. Yeah. This ain't Detroit anymore, buddy. Like,
where he is
we're
now.
In the second apron era. You're gonna have to,
like Quentin Post. Decent, stretch five, does have a little length, but limited again. Like, I honestly, I don't really know where you go with some of these names that are on the list. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do, but I think Leon Rose and company has certainly earned your patience because of the things that we've seen them be able to pull off.
Clock is reset on Leon, and Leon I trust, and I'm just going to wait and see how this plays out. Shout out to Jonathan Veratio, 739, $100 super chat. Says, turning 50 this month, been a Knicks fan my whole life. Never thought this would happen. Says, love your show. Thanks for making Knicks content for the fans, man. Happy birthday to Jonathan on the big 5-0. Shout out to Jonathan. Now, Solo, you mentioned this other guy. I'm so tired of it, but here it is. This was Max Kellerman and LeBron's, spokesman here, if you will. Rich Paul on their podcast, speaking on LeBron to the Knicks. Here it is.
I think it's difficult, right? Because the last thing you want to do is mess up something like that, right? The Knicks has a good thing going. That'll be – if the Knicks hadn't have won, there would be no board.
He'd be going to the Knicks.
He'd be going to the Knicks.
Interesting.
But the fact that they won –
I always thought that eliminated them. But the more I think about it, Rich –
well, it's a player thing, Max.
The Knicks can only afford vet minimums right now. They got rid of Mitchell Robinson because James Dolan, in spite of the fact that it took 53 years for them to win a championship, and the reports are his front office wanted them in the second apron for Mitchell Robinson, refused to go there, and he signs away with the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks have their hands tied by the second apron. They need cheap contracts. The rest of the conference got better. They have gotten a little worse. Knicks are weaker than they were. By the way, do they win that game if Mitchell Robinson doesn't get that offensive rebound, right? They don't have him anymore. They don't have his backup center anymore. They've lost stuff. I think it's a little different than it was.
LeBron's always judged different, though, Max. I understand what you're saying as a fan of the Knicks. and as someone who has been around sports forever. But he's just always judged different, and that's a very fragile thing. And he's been a part of championship teams, and you've never been a. Here's the thing, he's been a part of a championship team with people coming onto the team. When LeBron comes onto your team, I don't care if you just won a championship. I don't care if you've been the best player. It's different, man. His enterprise value and what he just carries is different.
And I respect the fact
Mike Brown knows this.
And I respect the fact that he wouldn't, when you guys wouldn't.
All right, so I'm going to pause that.
No,
What do you think there?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I appreciate Rich Paul because he makes this stuff so compelling by actually talking about it and not putting any secrecy to it. So it draws you in. I saw the whiteboard with all the names of teams on it and the breakdown, right? Like, but I like it because it's theatrical, and I think it's it's fun for. Come on, this time of year is always about rumors and fun, and instead of rumors, he's just showing you like, this is what we're doing. I mean, because it is LeBron. There's very few teams that are going to say no if he wants to go there. They're going to at least listen and consider it. And I also like the fact that because he's right. When you have a team that won and the core is almost all intact with Shamet and Alvarado and Deuce and all them, and even Mo Diawara, as they look at him as a key piece going forward, of course. And their starting five is locked up, going nowhere. Like LeBron comes in, it's not like just adding anybody. You're adding a guy he's a corporation. That changes the dynamic of the room, look, Mike Brown knows that if I'm closing a game, I don't like the way Mikhail's playing and Landry's playing well. Mikhail's going to sit the last 4 minutes or last 3 minutes, and Mikhail's going to live with it. We saw LeBron defend this year. There's times where I know JJ's like, I got to take him. I got to take him off the court.
Yeah.
But you're not taking Mikal Bridges off. You're taking LeBron Incorporated and putting him on the bench, and that becomes a big story. And also farewell tour, media coverage, the lock. It just it creates too much of a mushroom cloud that the Knicks don't need. So I think Rich recognizes that and sees it and just goes like, if they had lost and didn't win a championship, you can now insert yourself and it could become the piece that you needed. I think if they lost, they might have gotten Giannis, to be honest with you.
If they didn't
if they lost in the second round, if they lost in that first round to Atlanta, I think Giannis would be. We'd be talking about Giannis.
Yeah.
Right. But because of how this season finished and how it went and the chemistry of this team, I think the thought of LeBron, while it's a fantasy, Rich Paul's smart enough to know that in reality, it disrupts something that you don't want to disrupt, because right now what the Knicks have is so precious. And LeBron is smart enough because he's been there to understand, me going in there, then I become the guy that might have messed it up. Right. I don't want to be that. And so, it's like A-Rod going to the Yankees in 2004, right? It's like A-Rod going to the Yankees, and now the Yankees stopped winning championships. It's similar to that. Did it disrupt things as good as LeBron could be? And I think he's still very good.
Yeah.
So I give them respect that they acknowledged that while the Knicks would have been a perfect place for LeBron to go, would have been a great story. It's with them winning the championship. It's like, no, it's not going to fit. You agree?
1,000% agree. I've been over this chase since the decision. It didn't happen then. It didn't happen when he was deciding to before he goes to LA two times.
Yes.
We don't need that. We don't need the distraction. We don't need the circus. And I think, decision 3.0, I've been saying it since last year when they put the statement out there, Lakers are moving on, or Lakers are trying to build, we're trying to build. The Cleveland reunion is the only story that makes sense. He can go back there. You got the documentary going on. He can start, and that's the only team that he can reclaim as his own, because no one has faith in Harden. No one has faith in Donovan Mitchell. The prodigal son, go home and finish your career. And it's the only one that can end on a high note, regardless of if they win a championship or not.
Agree. Absolutely agree. That is that I felt that same exact way. I think it's just the fairy tale ending is the way. And you're right. Even if they get knocked out in the playoffs, which seems like always going to be their fate, especially when they have James Harden. I just feel like you're right. It still becomes that heartwarming story. You stay on it, you cover it. I think it would be good for Cleveland. I think for Dan Gilbert, I've saw Dan Gilbert a couple of times in this year. I only saw him twice in that conference finals, and you could see Dan, like, his health is not great, but you could just see him also. They lost that 22-point lead in game one, man. His mood swing in that game was unreal. And you could see it. He's a guy that probably would do anything to get back something for his team so he can get a chance to see it win one more time. And so you're right. And I think your second option that makes good sense and would, I think, be compelling for the NBA would be Golden State. That's the other place. Put him with Steph Curry. They'll be on national TV a ton. They'll get tons of coverage. It'll be fun to watch when they're healthy, the two of them playing together. I say when they're healthy because we know the regular season for them is going to be a management type season.
Load management.
But would you want to play them in a playoff series if you're a young team in the West?
Yeah.
I wouldn't, because you never know with them. That's those two guys. You get them in a best of seven, and they got some chemistry clicking. They could be real dangerous, and that could be fun. It could be I know they're old, and everybody will say, "Oh, the Warriors are old." And all. So I get that, but there's just something about it. The Schwarzenegger Stallone movie where they got all the old action heroes together and they made those movies, right? Like that's what it would have a feel for, and I think that'd be fun. But Cleveland seems to be the most obvious place for him to land. And I expect it, to be honest with you.
The most obvious.
The Philly thing doesn't make sense, man. Him going to Philly, how awkward and weird would that be if him to just drop him in Philly randomly, put him on that team, and he's supposed to do a farewell tour while they have Jaylen Brown. Like he's like the third most important story on that team at that point, right? Like that Philly thing makes no sense. Cleveland does, and Golden State would be kind of a fun second option if he just wants to stay in Cali.
Speaking of Philly and making no sense, what are the Boston Celtics doing, man? I mean, they pushed Jaylen Brown out of there, hit the plank. Paul George, now they want to sell me, analytically, we got Paul George and he fits, and Pritchard's going to take the next step. He's the next Brunson. What did you make of that trade?
It was a terrible trade. And the first reaction I had on my radio show was, did Brad Stevens get abducted? And someone else is now running the team, because this is Mookie Betts being traded to the Dodgers in Boston. It doesn't make sense on any level. First of all, let's just start with the obvious. You're trading away a guy that helped you win a championship, and he was the Finals MVP. I don't care how much of a pain in the ass you are. You just don't give away guys like that. Now, if they would have traded him for Giannis, which I still didn't love that either. But if they did, you could say, well, they got another all-time great, like a guy that's every year in the MVP conversation, who's a dominant force. I get it. If you wanted to do that, fine. But you traded him to the Sixers. You didn't trade him to Memphis. You didn't trade him to Dallas. You didn't trade him to Minnesota. You traded him to Philly. Like, that's a mortal enemy of Boston. Why would you trade a guy like that revenge factor on 100? Right? He's as petty as they come. And you're telling me that I got to see him 4 times a year now? Why would you do that? For what? You didn't even get anything out of it.
What?
And I know people are now trying to sell the idea, well, they got 2 first-round picks in a draft that's supposed to be really good. But, bro, those guys are still in high school, as far as I know. Don't even tell me like this is going to be a great draft when you tell me about 16-year-olds. But that's so there's so many things about it that don't tell me Brad Stevens was at the wheel. They don't tell me he was at the wheel. Now, if you look further, remember they had an ownership change.
Right.
And from the ownership change, we're learning about now that you have investors now. This is a whole
Private
new
equity.
world. And I hate to feel like, are the Celtics now becoming part of this world that's getting eaten alive by private equity? That now you all of a sudden have investors who are making business decisions and financial decisions, not what's best for the team. And we got to get out of one of these $300 million contracts. And if he's the disgruntled guy, why don't we move on from him? We'll get out of Paul George in 2 years. We don't like this second apron thing, and we don't want to deal with that. But it makes no sense to tell your investors that we're paying 3 times the tax on our payroll and we didn't win a championship. Right? So you got to now answer to all that stuff. It's a different world. So is that also now impacting the Celtics? Because if it is, Boston Celtics, as we knew them, are not going to exist anymore.
Jaylen Brown on his Twitch stream last night alluded to that, thinking that it seemed like this was higher than Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens known to be a lot more open and communicative with his players if they're being traded. Antoine Walker came out and said, this is on Chisholm. This is a business move. And I think, in these last couple of years, the second apron, I think, is really having a stranglehold on teams. You heard Wick Grossbeck, the former owner of the Celtics, saying, I'm out of here. I'm selling the team first and foremost. It's very expensive to maintain, and I can't see teams being in the second apron for more than 2 years. The Blazers get sold by Paul Allen's heirs. Cuban backs out of the Mavericks. He talks about how, ownership is not as glamorous. I think that's part of the reason Luka got the boot from Dallas, because
they didn't want to give him $300 million.
You can't be an owner and sign off on that ridiculous trade by Nico. I mean, you can't move by yourself if you're Nico. You need ownership stamp. So
I said that.
I'm thinking ownership's like, well, Nico, if you're not buying into this guy, if he's not committed to winning, we're not going to pony up. Mary Madison and Dumont, they're probably like, why are we going to give this guy money? Let's start from scratch, right? The Dolan situation. Everybody's like, yeah, he spent. Maybe he says, you know what? I'm the rabbit with the gun now. I've got the championship, and I'm tired of spending. I'm tired of paying the penalties. Maybe that's it.
You watch Golden State, because they're going to sell. They're going to sell at some point, because that value, while they still have Steph Curry, is as high as it's going to be. And at some point, it doesn't make sense to spend 3 times the amount of money on your payroll. It doesn't make sense. This is a hard cap. That's what it is. They're claiming it's not. But it really is, because it's not just the money anymore. It's also what it does to your roster, what it frees your assets. All right, you want to talk finance? It freezes your assets. And when I say assets, I'm talking about draft picks, the ability to make moves. You are frozen as a franchise when you do this. And I also think, when it comes to Jim Dolan's decision to do this, I think he's also looking at it as a way of telling the league in this decision to do this stuff is, I'm tired of giving my money to all the franchises. Like I used to bring this up a lot, and it's all starting to come to a head. When the Denver Nuggets won the championship in 2023, their owner is Stan Kroenke, right? He is one of the richest people. He's part of one of the richest families in the world. And yet, other billionaires in the league gave him money in revenue sharing because in his market, the Denver Nuggets were a team that needed money. Wouldn't that drive you crazy?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it make you crazy that there's somebody just as rich as you, maybe even more, and you had to give him money to run his franchise? And then he took it and he won a championship with your money. That'd piss you off, wouldn't it?
For sure.
That's like when you're you put billionaires in a room, that's a lot of egos. And if I'm a guy that I have a ton of money, a multi-billionaire, and I own a team in a small market, and I see another multi-billionaire, and I'm valued higher than he is, and he gave me money. I got you to give me money, so I don't have to use my own money, but I don't have to put any more of my own money, I should say, into my franchise. I just took it from you, and I won a championship. I'd probably trash talk you the whole year telling you about that, right? I've been telling you all about all that. Hey, by the way, yeah, thanks for funding my championship. Exactly. You want to see the Larry O? I know it's not yours, but you had a hand in this. You can go ahead and look at it, right? And on the other side, you're mad as hell. Like, I'm giving this guy money? No, I don't like these rules at all. So I do think the next time the CBA is up, this thing's going to come to a head again, and it might benefit the players.
Yes.
Because there's going to be some owners going, you know what, that whole idea of that second apron, this is not working. This is terrible for the league because, we're finding that, yes, it's nice to have different champions every year, but why am I being penalized and Mitch is a great example. I draft well, and I have to make choices about who I'm paying because that $300 million that this player's worth in his next max contract, because he hit all the things that he needed to hit, he's done everything right. I drafted him, developed him. He's become a great player. He's done everything right. But because now he's worth X, that X is X times 3 as I build a championship team. That penalizes me. My own draft picks should not be liable or should not be counted under the second apron rules. If I bring a player in a trade and then have to give him a contract, if I sign a player as a free agent and then we get over the second apron, different story.
Yeah.
But if I draft well, watch Oklahoma City too. Like that's gonna get weird in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Because they got a new building they're coming into. They just spent a ton of money on. And they've got a lot of good players. They've drafted well, and he's got a ton of first-round picks that he's going to have to start figuring out. What am I doing with all these picks? And I've got to keep moving guys out when they're time to get paid and keep certain guys. That's a lot of turnover, and it's staying out of the second apron for a small market team like that, who is, by the way, getting money from other franchises. But at some point, you got to get frustrated. Like, I'm drafting well. I'm drafting all NBA players, all NBA selection players. And I'm getting penalized times 3? That doesn't make sense. So this is going to come to a head at some point. But Boston is a early example of it. And the Brown trade is an example of, to me, this is not Brad Stevens making this decision. Brad has said he and Jaylen, they talk a lot. They've been open and honest about everything. They were in a good place. This went beyond, it was time to move on from Brown and Tatum. This went deeper, and that's what we were just talking about. The new ownership stuff, the financial impact of the second apron, and decisions that are not made based on basketball.
Dollars and cents, man. Absolute dollars and cents. Man, listen, today's session was absolutely needed, and I appreciate the time. What's the plans for the off season, man? What are you going to be doing?
Well, I have the radio show, so I'm down to one job.
Yeah, right.
For a couple of months, down to one job. But my time I take off is later in the month and just completely get away and shut it down. I am intrigued in the summer league stuff. I love watching the young guys. I think there's a couple of guys. I think Nickel is a fun player to keep an eye on. I think he's a guy that can. I love the 2 kids that they drafted. I know the one kid, the German kid's going to stay. He's going to stay overseas. Yeah. He told me draft night. I host the draft for ESPN Radio. Mm-hmm. He came to our table and he said, I intend on playing in New York. And I was like, oh, you do, huh? Right. And then we found out that the Knicks told him, not right now. Yeah. We like you, but we're going to keep you over there. It makes sense to us. So, summer league's always fun, but because we went so late, it's going to be a short summer. And I'm really looking forward to next season and getting into and just seeing that banner, man. Seeing that banner. So do they put the cup banner up now?
I'm with it.
Do you put it up now? Do you go 2 banners on that night and say, you know what? We won it all. We took it all.
Now I'm for it. I was not for it when they first won it. I said we got bigger fish to fry. Now that they have it, put it all up. Put the cup trophy in the middle with the regular trophy. Put all the trophies up together. I'm with it, man. I'm totally on board right now.
I feel like, you know what? 3 banners should go up. The NBA championship, the NBA Cup, and number 11. Just put it up now.
Put it up.
What are we waiting for?
Just put it up. Now. Just put it up.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We all know it's going up there. Just put it up now.
Yeah. The king of New York, man. Han Solo, thanks again for the time. Enjoy the summer, and I'll see you in September, man. We'll meet again in September.
Always fun. Always fun to talk to you.
Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the great Alan Hahn. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. Let me read some of these super chats because I got a boogie. I got to get up out of here and get my vacation on. Shout out to Director Jay Hall. Welcome to the Fanchise channel members. Eric Horn says, I'm in Jackson, Mississippi, and I lost it. He's talking about when we were recapping the Knicks NBA Finals run. Freeway Hustler, $10 super chats says, Cup champions. AH JB Cat win at All-Star Weekend. AH mean Allen Houston. Eastern Conference champs, NBA champs. The team just wins. What a year. They put all that up in the rafters. Put it up in the rafters. Big Surge says LBJ at the 4 is appealing, but hard pass on the circus of a farewell tour and the distraction. Well, we put the poll up. 54% people said no, they don't want LeBron. 46 say yes. So it's pretty even. Pretty even right now. All right? 2,500 people in the chat. Like, share, and subscribe. Remember that these shows are available in audio podcast format. Shout out to Pavi. 10-pound super chat says great coverage from both of you all year round in our favorite season in our lifetime by far. What do you guys think of trading for these sleeper bigs? Wizards center Tristan Vucevic or Pelicans Matkovic? Shout out to Pat. Shout out to Pavlo. I think I know why he wants those guys. But, you know, hey, listen. Anything, I trust Leon. And if he thinks those guys are worthwhile getting, you might have those guys as third-string options. Life real good. 33 $5 super chat says, I found it a little disrespectful to say Brunson, the champion, to reach out to LeBron. He's talking about Rich Paul. Well, listen, you know, if they're recruiting, hey, yeah, that's how it goes, man. You know, the guy who has the established leader is going to make the call, right? Drago NYC $5 super chat says, we don't want or need LeBron, the drama king, on this team. He brings a negative circus anywhere he goes. Shout out Judar Chinette, $5 super chat says, LeBron coming here will cause chemistry issues. This is Jalen Brunson City with Cat and OG. LeBron comes here, it's all about LeBron. I'm with you. $5 super chat Pistol Pete says, yes, it'll be a great story for LeBron, but it is known that this is his last season. Did make that statement, or are we assuming that is his last? I think it's more assumption, but I mean, he's 40. He's going to be 42. Pistol Pete also says, shout out to KFTV, shout out to Alan Hahn. Always enjoy the way you guys analyze the NBA world and the reasons why people make the decisions that they make. Yeah, the second apron show is fascinating. It really is. And I think it is driving a lot of these decisions. Sharon, $5 super chat says, who do you guys think will end up being the backup center? And what are the chances we play Philly on banner night? I think Philly is going to be the banner night team unless LeBron goes to Cleveland. It could be Cleveland. But, yeah, backup center could be Looney. Maybe it's Richards. I think you're going to have to go with Looney or Drummond. You need a veteran at this backup center, and then you bring in maybe a young upstart as a third string. Knicks need a lot of help right now, man. Knicks definitely need a lot of help right now. But either way, man, you guys enjoy your holiday weekend. Salute to you guys. Like, share, subscribe. Excellent show. Thanks again to Han Solo for giving us his time. Share this video with the Knicks fan. If you're a diehard Knicks fan, share it in your group chat. Email your friend. Text, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit. Put it out there, man. #1 show. You heard Tom from Huntington. For the fans, by the fans. Get your KFTV merch at shop.KnicksFanTV.com. And we'll catch up with you guys after the weekend. Enjoy, unless news breaks, but we'll catch up.